Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a huge philosophical question about belief and proof. We're going to unpack a famous argument and then explore a totally different way of thinking that might just flip the whole debate on its head.
So who has the burden of proof? This question is at the absolute heart of countless debates about faith and skepticism. And to really get a grip on it, we need to start by talking about, well, some teaware floating around in outer space.
All right, let's get into it. This whole idea comes from the brilliant philosopher Bertrand Russell. Back in the 1950s, he came up with a simple, powerful analogy to drive home a point about who really needs to show their work in an argument.
I want you to picture this. Russell says, just imagine a tiny little china teapot, and it's orbiting the sun way out in deep space. The catch? It's so incredibly small that our absolute best telescopes could never, ever find it. It's completely and utterly undetectable.
So here's the kicker. If I told you with a straight face that this teapot is real, could you prove that it isn't? I mean, you can't, right? You can't scan every single cubic inch of space to be 100% sure. So, does that mean you have to believe me? Russell's answer was a resounding absolutely not.
And that was his whole point. He argued that the responsibility, the burden of proof, is always on the person making the wild, unfalsifiable claim. Just because you can't prove a negative doesn't make the positive true. And for Russell, a lot of religious claims were basically cosmic teapots.
You know, this idea got a major upgrade from another thinker, Karl Popper. He formalized it into a core principle of science called falsifiability. It's a simple but powerful idea. For a claim to be scientific, there has to be some kind of test you could run that could, potentially, prove it wrong. If you can't even imagine a way for your theory to fail, well then you're not really doing science.
Okay, but hold on a second. This raises a super important question. Is this scientific standard, this one-size-fits-all rule of proof, the right tool for every single kind of question? I mean, is asking about a teapot the same thing as asking about God?
And this is where we have to draw a really clear line in the sand. You've got scientific claims, right? Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It's about the physical world. You can test it. You can prove it wrong. But then you have metaphysical claims, like God exists. That's not about a physical object. It's a claim about the ultimate nature of reality itself. Trying to test a metaphysical claim with a teapot detector, well, it's like trying to measure love with a yardstick. You're just using the wrong tool for the job.
This brings us to the core problem with the teapot analogy. It might be what philosophers call a category error. See, a teapot is a contingent object. That's just a fancy way of saying it's a physical thing that happens to be in the universe. But the classical idea of God isn't another item in the universe. It's defined as a necessary being, the very foundation for the universe. It's like reading a novel and trying to find the author as one of the characters inside the book. It just doesn't make any sense. And right here, the entire conversation pivots. This question introduces a totally different way to think about evidence, a framework found in the Quran. What if we've been looking for the wrong thing entirely? What if the proof isn't some tiny hidden object, but the whole massive, magnificent thing right in front of us?
So how does this work exactly? Well, instead of telling you to search for one hidden thing, this perspective invites you to look at the entire cosmos as a book of signs, or in Arabic, Ayat. The idea is that the proof isn't hidden away somewhere, it's literally everywhere you look.
The word Ayat literally means signs, proofs, or miracles. So from this point of view, all the phenomena of the natural world, the laws of physics, the formation of stars, the way rain falls and brings the earth to life, these aren't just random, meaningless events. They're all data points, signs pointing to the source of the entire system.
For example, the Quran points directly to the cosmos itself as a major sign. This verse talks about the heavens and the earth once being a single, joined entity that was then separated. Now, you have to admit, that sounds an awful lot like the Big Bang Theory, doesn't it?
And here's another one. This verse mentions the expansion of the universe. That's a concept that is absolutely fundamental to modern cosmology, something science only really confirmed in the 20th century. The argument here is that the evidence is baked right into the fabric of reality itself.
But it's not just about looking out at the stars. This framework also tells us to look inward, at our own creation. It details this incredible step-by-step process of how a human being develops in the womb.
The point being made is that this intricate, ordered sequence looks a lot more like intelligent design than just pure random chance.
So you've got all these signs all around you. What are you supposed to do with them? And this is where it gets really compelling. The argument isn't just have blind faith. Actually, it's the exact opposite. It's a demand for you to use your intellect.
Now get this, far from asking for belief without evidence, this verse straight up forbids it. It's saying, don't just accept things you don't have knowledge of. It sets this incredibly high standard, implying that you're actually accountable for how you use your senses and your mind to arrive at the truth.
And the idea goes even deeper with this concept called Fitrah. This is essentially the idea that we aren't born as empty hard drives. We come pre-wired with an innate disposition to use reason to look for causes for things and to recognize that an ordered, law-governed universe points towards a source of that order and law.
So let's bring this all together. When you boil it all down, what we really have are two fundamentally different ways of thinking about proof. They start from completely different places and are looking for completely different things.
And this table really lays it all out. The Teapot framework is looking for a single, hidden physical thing you can point a telescope at. But the Quranic framework says the proof is the entire, visible, ordered universe. It's the difference between searching for a single needle in a haystack and arguing that the existence of the haystack itself is the miracle you should be paying attention to. And that's really the bottom line. Russell's teapot is just an arbitrary thing. Adding it to the universe doesn't explain anything new. By contrast, the concept of a creator isn't presented as just another item on the shelf. It's presented as the necessary explanation for why there is a shelf, or a universe at all.
And so that's the final thought we'll leave you with. Is the lack of proof for a random hidden teapot really the same thing as the evidence of an entire ordered cosmos? Maybe the debate isn't just about where's the proof, but about a much deeper question. What kind of proof does a question about ultimate reality actually demand? Thanks for joining us.